Yeah, that was a lot better. I could actually hear myself. Couldn't before.
Cool.
That's good.
Rock on, man. Solid. So I actually kind of wanted to ask you guys about this. You know, you have a lot going on in that pedal board. So like, why do you have all that? And sort of like, but it seems like you don't use it all at once. It seems like you use it sparingly. You want to talk a little bit about the process?
Yeah, honestly, I don't use a lot of effects. I have them just because I got frivolous in my teenage years, like, you know what I mean? And so I leave them on the board because I set it up. But really, I use this EQ pedal all the time. I have the noise suppressor just for moments like this, right? And then I use a little bit of delay, like in 1 or 2 songs, and then I've got this reverb pedal, which I actually just picked up today. So really, the only thing I use, and then I have compression, so that's like what I use. But for the most part, we don't really use any effect. A little bit of delay, some reverb.
Okay, so and you sort of bump the compression on, I assume, like with all the other effects for select moments to sort of bring in
Well, we
that
went back and
contrast?
forth with compression. Like for a while, I was playing everything with compression because it just like really was sick. Especially when I was starting to get into like tapping, like it just really like made everything crisp. But then it's like there's this thing where it's like I haven't found the balance of like clicking it on and then clicking it off and losing and like finding that balance and dynamics. So I've been shying away from it.
Right.
In general.
And it's interesting because, you know, you play through a clean channel, which is sort of unconventional for bands to not even ever click on a drive channel. So that's kind of just why I wanted to sort of ask you about sort of like the cohesion with your whole setup. And that guitar brand, Kaiser, not many Kiesel, exactly. Not many people are familiar with it, which is where I was going with it next. And I know you do have that Fender, but why is that your main instrument of choice?
Dude, I mean, like I like Ibanez. Like I bought like a ridiculous Ibanez, and like I spent like so much money on it. And then I found this guitar brand, and the thing that they do, like this is gonna turn to like an ad for them, right? But like they only sell their guitars like direct, so they don't like they cut a lot of the price out. And so you know you buy $1,000 guitar, and it's gonna end up being like the quality of a $2,000 guitar. So and it's just like it's dope. They just know what's up.
So they're like a small custom shop.
Basically, yeah.
That's cool. And did you sort of speak to them about like this, you know, specifications of that guitar, or was that like just?
No, because I was gonna buy a custom guitar. Like,
you're gonna go to the Fender shop or something like that?
No, I was gonna buy it. Like, I was like, they sell most custom guitars, but they have some stock. And I built one that I was like prospectively looking at, and it was like fucking $4,000. Because it's like, oh yeah, I want like the dragon skin, like fucking finish.
Skin,
it's like,
I think
it's $400. Yeah, so I bought a stock with just tung oil finish, and just, you know, the coolest part is that it has glow in the dark fret dots.
I think Dragon Skin would really, the math rock scene, I think that would sort of take it and flip it upside down. Now, Abe, if you came back with those beautiful shells with some dragons on it, I mean, you guys are already a ferocious sort of, you know, sort of duo here. Now, Abe, you have a lot going on at your kit as well. And, well, maybe it makes it seem like there's a lot going on, but tell us a little bit about why you choose to use what you used.
Why? Well, Tama is I guess I'm going to be advertising for them, but I love Tama, man. I mean, all the guys, big name guys use Tama. I mean, and also I love the sound. It has like very rich, warm, deep, punchy sound, which fits our style of music. You know, I have Sabian cymbals. These are pretty bright. I guess they fit like in our style too. Though I've been looking at actually a different style of cymbals, but I think in general these are like they're fairly sensitive. They're nice bright sound and it fits right. You know, I've got a stack to kind of just cut through his guitar a bit more. And
yeah, it's interesting to actually see that sort of cymbal used in an application that isn't just, you know, and no offense to anyone out there, but obnoxious chugs and breakdowns. And it actually is really nice, and I think sort of quaint in a way to hear it outside of its, you know, normal element. So that's sort of why I wanted to ask you guys about that, because it's obviously very technical what you're doing, and so I just wanted to sort of see what sort of helps make that come alive. But with that being said, why don't you guys, unless Morgan has some gear questions? No? Fair enough. Well, I think we all want to hear another song, so please.
All right, cool.
Awesome.
All right. Mind if I go? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
I think we need to go back a second here to we were talking about your popularity a little while ago. Do you have you found it to be your experience? Do you think that has math rock kind of in a way experienced a resurgence in popularity similar to the renewed interest in other genres that are kind of tangentially related?
No.
So like emo, for example, has been kind of in the midst of a revival. It's still ongoing, or what many term a revival for the better part of the last decade.
I don't
at
think
least.
math rock ever had a popularity, really.
Right, I mean, but in underground circles.
I mean,
I feel like I'm so isolated that I don't actually have a real gauge.
Would you
for
not
what-
actually have any bearing, you feel, objectively on your
Yeah,
popularity,
to
or
be
too
honest, like,
insulated to?
I just like as far as guitar stuff goes, like, you know, being like a guitar player and just that's what I get into and stuff. You know, Jimi Hendrix is why I started playing guitar, and it's like if you're a guitar player, you know why. And it's like that's the kind of stuff that got me into math rock. Is it's just like just insane melodic, crazy stuff for the most part. So like that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at it from my own vantage point, and I like have no. That's how I just became obsessed with it a little bit, and so like I have no idea.
So you're on the inside looking out.
No.
Okay. So you wouldn't be able to say where you feel your band kind of fits into the grand scheme of having a lisp. No. So no.
I don't know, man. I think what we're trying to do, and I kind of said this earlier, is like find some. You know, we're definitely not like there's a lot of math bands that are very experimental to the extent of like I was saying, self-indulgence, like where they're very abrasive and like you have to try to listen to them if you're gonna listen to them. It's work, and it's like I think we're trying to find a thing where like we can be musical, we can be musicians, we can be technical, but we can be pleasant
And accessible.
to the ears.
That's the goal.
Yeah, I sort of agree with that. I can see how you guys are trying to do that because a lot of it is sort of abrasive, but being someone who appreciates like, you know, free form and sort of like more swung jazz sounds, but to the masses, it is sort of, I guess, a turnoff. But I think you guys do a solid job of sort of, you know, walking that fine line between staying true to the technical abilities you guys have, but also appealing to like a broad audience.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem.
I think Abe agrees. Like it's a process. You know, we've been writing for like almost a year, and it's just like we've thrown away most stuff that we've written. Obviously, that's how it works. So we're just like coming to a point where we're like trying to figure our sound out.
Well, not to keep you from your next song, but speaking of that, you guys are a fairly new band, am I right?
Yeah, like we haven't even recorded anything.
Okay. And so how long have you guys been playing together?
just December last year,
And
almost
all
a
right.
year now.
And when do you feel that you guys kind of like felt like a band? Because there is that phase where it's like, all right, we're meeting up every week. But like, when do you feel like you guys finally started to feel like, so December, fairly new thing, still in this year. But when you guys felt like you were doing the band thing? When do you feel like that first
Month.
First month? So
We played so much. Dude.
Like we literally met, and then like the next weekend we just started jamming every single weekend, and like every single weekend since we've been jamming.
really, wow,
Yeah.
that's it definitely shows. I mean, the strides you've made in such a short time, and I would love to have you back in like a year on the show and sort of see where it's progressed from there.
We'll probably be too big for this.
Yeah.
I mean, we can all hope, but let's be realistic. And realistically, I think the listeners would love to hear another song.
Realistically, we
Yeah.
can do that.
Cool, thank you. You guys rock, you know that?
Well,
When do you plan on selling out? No, seriously. So something I believe to be true about math rock, and feel free to tell me if you disagree with me on this one, but I feel math rock kind of, in a way, individual notes seem to matter a little bit less than the overall shape of a collection of notes. And that, to me, math rock focuses more or prioritizes form above content.
rhythm over melody.
Okay, yeah, that's another way of saying it.
I'd
So
agree.
you'd agree with that?
I think that obviously melody is important, but to me, like, to be honest, like, I feel like it's almost a cop out for me, like, to do that, because it's like it's almost easier to, like, you know,
Sort of come up with the rhythmic pattern rather than
slide
the melody.
some shit in there than, like, really, you know.
And Abe?
I'm no jazz cat.
It's all about the rhythm, you know.
Yeah.
As drummer, that's my job, you know.
Oh, no.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, I've noticed that, actually. It does feel very jazzy in your application and your style, which I think is awesome. There's some subtlety in the rolls and a lot of notes that you sort of see but don't hear, and you know, on the snare drum and the toms. And I think that does a great job of sort of complementing how Trevor is, you know, tapping all across the board. And, you know, would you want to talk about that, how jazz sort of influences you guys as a math rock band?
I mean, personally, I do study with my drum teacher is actually a jazz cat. He played back in the day. He knew all the famous jazz bebop guys, which is pretty cool, actually. And I personally love jazz myself. I would not consider myself a jazz drummer or anywhere near their level of expertise, but I love jazz. You know, I kind of try to incorporate like the jazz feel. You know, I'll play the swings here and there. So I mean, yeah, it's definitely influenced my drumming quite a bit, but definitely I'm far from what a jazz drummer is, though.
Right, yeah. And was sort of following the, you know, the rhythms and melodies that Trevor sets up, the original plan, or do you guys just sort of jam this and whatever happens in the songwriting process is kind of what you stick with?
I like to say it's like we jam and then we always go back to what we jam and then we rearrange it and stuff. I'm usually like, you know, I'm all rhythm. I don't understand melodies, notes, keys, and all that. Like I don't know any of that. But like when he writes a riff, it'll be in like 4 or 6, you know, and then I'll change it up. Oh, maybe we can turn it into 5 or 7, 8. You know.
It used to be.
All right.
No, actually.
It's a little.
But that actually makes
now-
me wonder. So do you use your ear when Trevor presents a riff that he writes, or do you use technicality, time signatures, and
We use both.
Okay, a little bit of both. See, that's wild, man, because, you know, at least most people that I know, we're not using the technicality, but I think it shows with you guys, and it's very nuanced in the way you do it. So
I never used to count until I started playing. He was like, dude, hey, can you play in 7? I was like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, the riff's in 3. And I was like, I just write riffs. I never thought about it. So, like, as soon as I started thinking about it like that, then I can break it down and, like, really, you know, do some cool stuff with it. You can really start subdividing, you know, the larger the.
So what was your approach to writing music before you met Abe? Started jamming?
Just totally, like, self-indulgent. Like, just, like.
But what do you mean, like?
Just playing however I felt, you know what I mean? Just, like, doing whatever I wanted. And just, like, oh, I like this. I wrote a lot of acoustic stuff, sing songs.
Okay. So is it a conscious effort to sort of mess with the time signatures, transition?
Absolutely.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so
I had
do
to
you...
practice that. I had to use a metronome and learn how to count while I was playing.
All right. See, I recently listened to an interview with Rivers Cuomo, and he has chord progressions in a book, and some are for verses, some are for choruses. Is it that thought out where you want to do, you know, X amount of bars in 3/4, then like a 6/8 back to a whatever, or do you just sort of write riffs and then piece them together? All right, that's cool.
Definitely,
I feel
the
that.
latter.
Nice.
Which is borderline incoherent sometimes. But yeah,
I mean, I think it works.
hopefully.
Anything else to add to that, Morgan?
I mean, your songs definitely sound like they're patchworks or amalgamations of a whole bunch of ideas. They somehow coalesce a lot better than you might think on paper.
Well, they're like, it's like a quilt. Yeah, that you said that.
Yeah.
But it's like the thing that for me is that I don't like about like a strong structure is that, like, to me it's like there's so much emotion in music, and you know, basically the way that you felt yesterday is not the way you feel today. And so the way that I feel when I write this one riff and when I'm playing it is not the way that I feel when I'm writing the next one and playing the next one. So to come back to a riff as a chorus or so, like, it feels like disingenuous because that's not how we feel anymore. We've moved on. It's a progression.
That's interesting because you guys don't have vocals. So do you feel that it's more of a emotional response, conveying feeling through chords and notes, not through singing lyrics? Or is that something that you had to get used to at first, having no singing and kind of giving how you feel to the songs?
I think that you inherently do that as a musician, and I think that music, like the vibrations, hits people in a, like, it reaches past a point of language.
Fair enough. And Abe, last question before you play your next song. What is your threshold for the big words Trevor likes to throw in? Does it get old fast, or jamming every weekend, do you grow a sort of tolerance to it?
He took a British literature course here. It was the hardest course on campus, so
So he's enlightened.
level of IQ and intelligence is just,
skyrocketed.
Yeah,
beyond our. All right.
It's just how I talk.
I
man.
can't compete,
I'm just messing with you
It's
guys.
my second language, so English.
Fair enough. So there's already a bit of a barrier, would you say?
Yeah,
He speaks 2 languages, right?
Yeah, but I learned English when I went to elementary school.
So
Oh,
he's
wow.
got me beat.
So
Yeah.
So music must have been
that's
kind
true. I
of
thought
the
about that.
universal language between you two.
Oh, music?
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
All right, man. I'm sick of this.
Done?
Well,
Let's get on.
yeah. Let's hear another song, please. What's the name of this one?
We don't have song titles.
Was it a 12
okay.
gauge punch?
We've never recorded anything.
All right. Well, we'll get you there.
Thank
That was some transcendental stuff, man. All right. Well, have you guys faced a lot of criticism so far in performing and playing music for people?
Have we?
Yeah.
We don't
Face-
go out.
You don't really have critics.
I don't even
really
have friends.
An audience. So
Trevor's just
you
my
have
business
critics.
partner.
Well, how about then math rock in general, more broadly? You think we've talked a lot about the kind of self-indulgence of the music you play so far today. So, you think that? Yeah, do you think math rock is often subject to that kind of criticism that it is a really masturbatory kind of genre, or that it's style over substance, or
I've never
things to
read that.
effect?
It's just how I feel firsthand. Sometimes I feel like, I'm just doing what I want to do to the extent where I haven't really considered how people are gonna feel about it.
Yeah, because I was curious how you respond to criticism when faced with it, but if
I haven't really been criticized because we haven't released anything on the internet. Right?
I mean, no. I mean, I'm sure there's some people that talk shit. Whatever,
Yeah.
what you can do about it.
Once you put it on the internet, though, they can just, sink
yeah.
their talons into you.
Where then I'll
The
just
vultures will come, no matter who you are. But I don't think you guys have much to worry about, to be honest with you. One thing that I would think would be a concern is trying to be a band in upstate New York, especially Poughkeepsie area, right? Like, how do you guys...
We're trying to get
and
out.
Speaking from personal experience, it's only getting harder. So how do you guys plan on tackling that going forward as a band?
I would say,
Not to downplay our area, the chance is great, but it's just there's not much opportunity for nothing
dude, yeah. I mean, it's
outside
just,
of the heavy
there's not a
spectrum.
lot going on here, and people aren't supporting live music like this kind of live music anymore. So, the plan is to leave.
Yeah.
Right.
Go to a more populated area with an actual music scene where we can kind of fall into a niche.
And this is something I've read a lot, and I know you. So, but for people who don't, we listen to a lot of electronic music in the workplace and whatnot. But do you feel that sort of, because I remember when I was in high school only 5 years ago that the chance was alive with live bands, and this EDM craze came around about 4 years ago, really took hold. Where are the bands? Do you feel like that equates anything to sort of now we're really stuck to the cities being the epicenters?
I think so. Yeah, I feel like you got to go where the people are. And that's where the venues are.
Don't you feel that's kind of always been the case?
For sure, on a grand scale, yeah.
But I think for actually plugging in and playing, the grand scale has been really...
So you would say that you play real music?
No, you would say that, but I would agree.
Well, what have you guys spoke about this? What are some of the ways you plan on combating this sort of going forward? Is what I'd like
he's
to
moving
hear.
to Brooklyn, so...
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, man. We're going to try. That's why we want to record something, by the end of this year, release it in the beginning of next year, 2018, and then once we have something online, I just want to start booking shows, trying to get out there. We got to put something out in order for people to even be aware of us. So, we've just kind of been concocting the master plan, but at some point, you just got to put something out and start making moves. So we've kind of been just in the dojo, basically,
Okay.
And
the songwriting temple.
Yeah.
In other words, that's cool.
Yeah.
Sort of, mixing things up and stirring around, but you have to release the product soon, right?
At some point. I mean,
Yeah.
you're never going to be satisfied, but you do have to just...
Well, like you said, you don't feel the same way you did 6 months ago, but people need to hear something, so.
I don't feel the same way I did yesterday.
Fair enough. And when those recordings go up, where could people find you or hear it?
I was savvy enough to lock in alljokesaside.bandcamp.com.
Cool.
It's a blank page, but I got
You can still follow it, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we'll
We
get
have-
alerted
yeah.
when music...
We have an Instagram and a
Instagram?
Facebook, too.
Okay, like page on
all
Facebook
All
and
Jokes
whatnot.
Aside music.
Do you guys have a Twitter?
No, I don't. No.
I'm not good at the internet.
I got to do that.
Fair enough. I think a stronger presence on a smaller amount anyways is more beneficial than being broad and having it sort of thinned out. But, no, yeah, that's interesting. I see you have the guitar off. Are you waiting for the...
I am waiting for
Cool,
my
yeah, we'd
own
love
side.
to hear more songs,
Cool.
so...
Thanks.
This calls for a drum solo.
Well, I feel like every song is sort of a solo in a way, right? Well, not in the sense where it's obnoxious, because it's definitely
Yeah.
beautiful and timed perfectly, but very embellishing, right?
I've actually been trying. Did this just cut out?
No, you're good.
Okay. Well, I've actually been trying to calm down on my drums. I tend to definitely play.
Do you think you overplay, man?
I think I overplay. Yes, I do firmly believe I overplay, and I've been trying to work on that. It's very hard in the moment, though. It's just you just do it. You
Yeah,
know?
have some restraint, man.
I don't know about you, but does it sort of sadden you to hear that he's going to start, or at least thinking about dialing it back? Because to me, it
Live your
makes me-
dreams, man.
Yeah, man.
Ah,
It's good,
Thanks,
dude.
guys.
It's I think it's very tasteful.
So,
I'm
hey,
just
between
trying
not
to-
knowing how to use the internet
I'm
and
trying-
playing real music, do you often feel like you were born in the wrong generation, man?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you still buy records? Do you have you ever heard of this band called Led Zeppelin?
I love Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you're not interested in techno?
No, I'm a musician.
I'm just messing with you, man. I'm just messing with you, man.
Yeah.
I'm
but
just
no,
messing
I
with
feel
you,
it,
man.
You know?
Yeah. All right.
Honestly, until I started, hanging out with Trevor, I had a huge resentment for techno music. Being a musician, I know that sounds ignorant, but I just couldn't bear the fact that, these amazing bands that I would go and see in 2008 put out a killer album, charted, and couldn't pull a 400 cap room when they were selling at a 1,000 cap room. And you got to wonder where that comes from. But thanks to Trevor, I think, honestly, being super open-minded, he's sort of helped bridge the gap in my head, at least, between that.
Well, I
And we
think
just-
there's an art to making electronic music. It's just different,
You're a
Yeah,
very
definitely.
tolerant man, Trevor.
Especially dealing with us. And I think Abe is the most tolerant, really.
Yeah,
because
'cause
if
he has
I
to
had to
deal
be in a
with me.
band with Trevor, I wouldn't play music.
Huh.
But that's just me, and we're not here for me. So as soon as Trevor's tuned
He's,
up,
he's
we'll
the
get-
only guitarist I could find that wanted to play math rock. So
Fair enough.
If you know anyone else out
advertise
there
for something like that anyway? How you,
plays
you do have to,
bass.
like,
Dude, I literally, we're at Dutchess Community College, and there's a thing that they've been doing for maybe a year and a half, and it's called Dutchess at Night. And it's just like some bands, like people playing video games and stuff like that. I just went out and played a solo thing, did some like loops on my like guitar, and then I played some
Cool.
acoustic songs and sang them.
Taking
some real
initiative.
emo shit. And just like Abe came out, and he was like, "Hey man, what's up?" And a mutual friend actually introduced us, and then we jammed.
so that was your first date.
That was our first date.
That's December 1st this
Yeah.
year, right?
December 1st,
Yeah, when's the
2017.
anniversary? Can I
Dutchess at
come?
Night. There's
Was
no
it really
time.
December 1st?
You guys are playing too,
Yeah.
Dude,
aren't
I almost
you?
went to an Animals as Leaders show that day too.
We love animals.
Good thing
as
you
leaders,
didn't.
But we have a gig, so.
Well, so that's like your next appearance, or you guys have any other shows lined up there, or?
Nah, I think that's our next appearance as far as on the books, yeah.
So December 1st, you guys know when you play, so we could let the viewers know,
Absolutely
or?
not. Probably like middle of the lineup.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
is
is
it really
there-
December? Oh,
We
yeah.
got some good bands on there. I know Christian Evanko and the Stash is supposed to be playing. Maybe not the
Who's
Stash,
that?
but definitely Christian.
Yeah, at least, yeah.
And our buddies Visitations, who are just like a gnarly.
The homies, straight up homies, right
Yeah,
there.
it should be a good show. You guys have any tricks up your sleeve that you're sort of not giving us for that show, or?
Yeah, it's called Songs We Haven't Written Yet.
Okay, cool. So you guys are gonna. That sounds pretty prolific to say that in 3 weeks you'll have multiple songs written. Is that sort of how you guys
No,
operate?
maybe one.
Yeah,
Maybe
one at
Alright,
best.
Better than me, man. I take 3 years
Maybe
writing a
some
song. That's not even
some
a good
fancy
one. so-
intro thing.
Worst in town.
Yeah, well, so they say. All right, guys, I won't keep you any longer. Awesome.
When do you guys plan on becoming a gent band?
I can't.
Fair enough. Well, I do want to let you guys know that you guys have some love coming in on the live feed.
Dude,
Yeah, definitely.
it's beautiful.
Shannon Knapp says you guys are killing it.
Oh, thanks,
Much
Shane.
love. And the other Trevor Kowalski, wants to say that for real and fake music, go to the BSP in Kingston. So apparently he wants to see you guys play there sometime soon.
Oh, yo, Trevor's a DJ. Like,
Oh, he is, yeah. Hey, Trevor, man, we don't mean it, dude. It's just we're getting deep here, dude. If you don't want to, you don't have to tune in, but we appreciate it. But
Hi,
we're gonna talk about the issues.
BSP's a sick venue though.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I've only heard good things about BSP. I've never played there.
Just speaking of like,
Try to get you in there.
outside of Poughkeepsie, where have you guys been in your short time as a band?
We played in Woodstock. We played a festival out in the Wallkill area. It's past New Paltz.
Oh, nice. What festival?
It's called Millstock. It was the first annual.
Oh, cool.
This is
So you-
mom's-
Should be one next year. It's pretty.
It was his mom's house.
Wow.
Allegedly, that was my mom.
You guys
My
should play
mom's
more
from here.
basement shows than New Paltz.
What was that?
You guys would really find your comfort zone. You would really get into a groove with the people at New Paltz. You should try to play like basement shows. And
Maybe,
Yo.
Yeah.
We gotta get out.
I'm
to
only
New
saying
Paltz.
that because I
do.
despise
Yeah, New Paltz
Paltz.
definitely has a cool scene. There's so many house shows and shit that you
I think
guys
it
would.
does.
Yeah,
though.
Definitely.
I said the same thing.
Yeah. But like, I don't know.
I mean,
man,
what don't you want to be associated with? What crowd? Like, you guys don't strike me as being a band who.
If there was
who
one group
terribly-
you had to, show to the exit, so to speak, who would it be?
what do you mean, man?
I don't know.
Listen, I'm a
you're all
positive guy.
welcome. You're all
We're
welcome.
Cool.
I'm more
Yeah.
I'm more concerned with what we're trying to do than what we'd rather not be.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh, aren't they the same thing? I want you.
We
Okay.
like your kind.
Thanks, man. I like you too.
We're skirting
welcome, bro.
dangerously close to politically incorrect territory here. Well, my
Well-
question was.
It's a college live feed. We're allowed to challenge and grow.
You don't seem terribly concerned with your image, but I know you guys have the capacity for self-awareness. That obviously you're aware of how people view you, even if you don't have that perspective yourself. You're aware.
Mhm.
What don't you want people thinking of you?
Well, once again, I don't think about that.
Really?
I mean, maybe Abe does.
Abe lifts.
Abe fucking
I
does, dude.
He wants
deadlift, bro.
people to know that. What don't you want people to know?
How much I deadlift? Because it's not a lot.
It's
not yet.
It's not a lot.
Yeah, but
Damn.
once I deadlift a lot, then I want people to know.
Well,
That's good, man.
Yeah,
I
man,
do
I mean-
dips too.
Really?
Bench press.
dips.
Yeah.
Actually, I've heard you speak about dips quite a bit. Is that, could you sort of, well, no, but if this is important, I think people want to learn more about who you guys are as people.
Well,
So are dips, how do they affect you in your
it's a
day-to-day?
push movement. It works. You can do tricep dips or chest dips depending on the angle of your arms.
No, totally, Abe. We all know that, but we want to know what it means to you. Because I've heard you bring it up on numerous occasions now, and I just...
I mean, if we're, it sounds like we're being a bit like disingenuous, but I mean, on a serious level, like, yeah, fitness has really changed me. It's been like a huge part of my life now. I
Awesome.
went from being like a very like, yeah, I had no self-confidence and like definitely thought shitty about myself, and then I started working out past like 7-8 months now, and it's like I've never felt this good in my life. So like, yeah, I love fitness now, I guess.
Awesome, dude. Congrats.
And I just want to get a shot of this water because I thought about what you said, and like if there's one thing that I wanted people to think about me
Is that you're hydrated, right?
is that I'm a guy who drinks tons of water.
Now, that's actually interesting. How much water would you say that you drink per day?
Yeah, how yellow is your urine?
Dude, my urine's pretty clear most of the time.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Is there like a certain amount that you sort of
Do you
put in
have
the
a quota?
canister going into, performances, or...
Do you have a Camelback?
I try to like, no, I don't have a Camelback, but I try to like always
Yeah,
have
work on that one now.
Abe's a guy who always has a gallon jug when we go to shows.
Actually,
Nice.
I have to drink a
follow
lot
a
of
similar
water
train of thought.
because I take creatine.
Do you really?
Yeah, I just
Dude,
started though. But.
I'm going to be honest with you, man. I heard that really doesn't do anything aside from make you look bigger. But there's
well,
no
actually,
actual...
well, it's supposedly that's essentially what it
That's the whole
does.
point.
It doesn't directly help you like grow in size, but it helps. It helps you give you more power when you're working out, an extra boost,
You really
which
feel
in
that
turn
way?
helps you get in a few more reps, which in turn helps you create hypertrophy, which in turn
I don't know what that word
create
means.
muscle growth. So
Alright.
it doesn't directly help you get big, but it does.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can see that. It's just I've heard that creatine is sort of like
I don't know. There's a lot of information out there,
Yo.
man.
On a related note,
too much,
I'm
honestly.
interning
Just
at
try it.
Pfizer this winter.
Can't hurt.
Actually,
what's that?
they make Viagra.
Oh, nice.
Well, are we done? You think? All right.
Congrats to both of you guys,
Yeah, yeah.
Abe on the fitness and Morgan on the internship.
Yeah.
Let's end this on a positive note. Would you guys like to?
Absolutely.
Sort of-
Any
Well-
more good news?
Thank you again for joining us on Live at Studio B
Thanks, guys.
with what's your name? All jokes aside,
You can find them on
I'm
Instagram.
Morgan.
I'm Chris, and they're all jokes aside. You can find them on Instagram, Facebook, and anywhere else that matters, aside from Twitter. But they do have a Bandcamp which you could follow, and music will come out soon. So keep up with them if you like what they're doing and not what we're saying.
We talk too much.